and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ad America. My name is Ganara, one of the e-guides here in Ad America, and I hope that everyone is having a wonderful evening. If you are new here, and for those of you who don't already know, Ad America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. Right now, we will be having Ad America Academy Get to Know Product Management. But before I start, we have a question for today. Our question is, when was the concept of product management introduced? Is it A, 1931, B, 1941, C, 1951, or D, 1961? You can submit your answer on our social media platforms, and for those of you who are able to answer it correctly, will receive a live shout out from us. And now, without further ado, let's welcome our facilitator for this event. He is Rossi Setyonugroho. He is the co founder and VP product of Ray.id. Kak Rossi, the time is yours.
Hello everyone. Good evening. Selamat malam. So probably today I'll share a bit about my experience, and also we will talk about product management in general. I know that a lot of you probably already know the term product management, and it's kind of one of the like up and coming new kind of like hip career thing that a lot of people is doing right now. So uh, this is going to be exciting for I think like for a lot of people looking into working in tech, but they don't have tech background and a lot of other things. Probably not only in tech, because this line of work is not exclusive to tech industry, although it's very well known to be closely related to tech lately. But uh, a lot of industries out there also have the role of product management. And probably today I'll talk a little bit in a mix bahasa Indonesia and also English, as probably like the out there a lot of people also are speaking bahasa Indonesia, so I'll be delivering it in bahasa Indonesia and I'll mix some in English, because a lot of the terms that we use in product management is widely English, and also like there's a lot of resources out there in English. So ya, jadi kurang lebih malam ini akan kayak gitu. Oke, jadi mungkin coming into product management, there's this kind of like, if you ask people like what is product manager, and if especially if you're working in a company or like have seen someone with product manager title, this is probably like the thing that you see a lot reflecting to them. This meme kind of like a running joke with me and my friends about how we kind of see product managers in day to day. So like they're doing a lot of meetings. If you look at their calendar, chances are a lot of the day they spend meeting with a lot of other people. They like to call it like, I mean, like we call it stakeholder management, because we kind of work in the intersection of a lot of things, and this is kind of like the day-to-day basis of what product managers do. Um, Although this is not like everything that product managers are doing, because um, meaning kind of the thing that they're doing in order to get alignment, understanding what other kind of like stakeholder needs, even what the user wants, and what sets of problem that they need to prioritize and solve. So this is like the bread and butter of product management. You'll do a lot of meetings, but this is like not all of what product management is all about. Jadi kalau dilihat lagi product management itu dibagi jadi berapa bagian ya. It's kalau kita misalnya datang ke sekolah, highly likely there's no major in university that kind of like specifically taught product management as their major. Jadi it's more of a generalist role, di mana as a generalist ada banyak hal yang incorporated di dalam situ. Ada hal yang terkait gimana kita mengerti tentang user itu. Ada juga bagian yang kita harus ngerti bisnis itu seperti apa sih. So you'll deal with a lot of numbers, business acumens, metrics, and what are the things that's important for your business. Karena kadang kalau misalkan when we're talking about business objective, a lot of people talk about revenue, a lot of people talk about like how much money you get, how much money you burn, but also like for example, if you're working for a solutions that's not really looking at money as their objective. For example, let's say di Indonesia semua orang, ya nggak semua sih, tapi hampir semua orang itu pasti punya peduli lindungi kan. If you're working for that kind of solutions, probably kind of your revenue or like the amount of money that you get from building the app is not going to be your main objective. Jadi kayak bisnis objektifnya itu bisa berubah tergantung dari industri apa sih yang lagi dikerjain gitu ya. When we're talking about user problems, itu mungkin kayak kenapa kita di product management itu fokus banget sama masalah gitu. Jadi kayak one thing that you need to settle with is throughout your career, you will deal with mostly problems. Most of them you probably don't have the answer for when they come to you. So it's fun. It's a fun job if you like to solve things and play with riddles and things like that because you're never going to go out of like a problem. So it will when you solve something, there will be another problem that arises. So this is just like your day to day. Another thing is opportunities. Why opportunity matters is that bayangin kita ada masalah nih di kehidupan sehari-hari lah ya. Terus kita mikir, oh bisa nih kita bikin solusi buat ini. Kita bisa bikin satu inisiatif or businesses or other things that in form of a solutions yang kita bisa lakuin gitu. But if the opportunity to do that is not there, agak sulit gitu. Misalnya we're talking about a technology that doesn't exist currently. So if you guys look at how, probably if you look at the history of a lot of the smart devices, for example, Apple already thinks about making an iPhone in the early 90s. At that time, even when you look at a lot of the televisions in every other households, the technology is not there yet. But the imagination of how you can solve a problem can be there. But if the opportunity is not there yet, meaning that the enablers that will help you to solve the problem is not there, we need to take a step back to see then what are the things that I can do to solve it. So looking at opportunity is a day-to-day job that we need to do because if we're talking about what happens in the world, it's always changing, right? Jadi kayak bagaimana satu masalah diselesaikan itu bisa ganti-ganti banget. Mungkin kayak bahkan kalau kita lihat konteks in less than a decade, gimana orang misalnya mau pesan makanan aja sangat jauh berbeda in one decade gitu kan. Dan solusinya muncul terus dengan itu juga yang menyebabkan kenapa product manager itu harus looking at what's new out there, opportunity-nya ada apa aja gitu. So combining those, kalau misalnya biasanya kita di product management itu ngomongin tentang kayak, oh then what can we do by combining? We understand the problem, we know the business objective to make this sustainable, the solution sustainable. Kita ngeliatin opportunities-nya ada apa. So sometimes like although my line of work is digital right now, tapi I'm not coming from tech background. I was working in a pharmacy retail. So it's a pretty brick and mortar industry even until today. So when you're working in that kind of industry, the solution is not always about like digital solutions, making an app, making a web. So a lot of the solutions comes to like then how you provide answers to the user's needs. So this thing become very particular to what kind of industry you're working in, where you are. Because kalau kita misalnya ngomong saya di Jakarta gitu ya, mungkin kalau saya mau nyelesain masalah pemesanan obat gitu ya misalnya, ketika saya di Jakarta sama mungkin saya tinggal di pedalaman di luar Jawa, solusinya bisa sangat berbeda. So konteks itu penting banget. Kenapa pas kita mau nyari jawaban, all of those three things itu kita mesti pikirin baik-baik gitu kan. Jadi these are the things that I think it's not like a silver bullet to explain and kind of like draw a picture of this is product management, but this is like a way for us to grasp around when you're a product manager, what are the things that you're usually going to deal with, dan gimana kita nyari solusi-solusi. Oke. The next thing is, biasanya kalau ngomongin product manager itu role-nya tuh bisa berbeda-beda tergantung dari industrinya tadi kita sempat bahas dikit. Tapi juga beda juga di masing-masing tempat itu mereka biasanya punya istilah tertentu. Sebenarnya ini bukan hal yang pasti kayak gini, di tempat ini pasti ada A, B, C seperti yang kita bicarain hari ini. Tapi ada banyak hal lain yang mungkin beda banget gitu. Misalnya ada namanya technical product managers. Mereka yang biasanya punya background as engineers, terus mereka nyelesain masalah yang biasanya highly related to tech. Kayak misalnya usernya itu adalah orang-orang yang bikin solusi di perusahaan itu sendiri. Jadi the way they define their user problem is probably like other engineers in the company that need solutions. Biasanya ada role seperti itu. Not all companies have this type of product manager role. Karena biasanya juga kayak karena nggak semua company itu biasanya digital atau nggak semua company itu based on engineering, right? Jadi in other places the job description might be the same and the role can be a little bit different. So this is very normal for us to see. Terus ada namanya business product managers. Ada juga in some parts of the businesses yang lini industrinya itu mereka fokus untuk memang ngurusin keberlangsungan bisnis dan ngomongin tentang kayak target revenue, growth, and things like that. So business product managers also exist. Di mana hal ini juga kadang-kadang tergantung dari stage of maturity from the company itself. So for example, if you're starting a startup from 0 to 1 initiative, for example, in my line of work, I might not have a specific technical product managers and business product managers, just because looking at the scale of the businesses, it doesn't make sense for me to have those in terms of like, doesn't make sense in terms of like the money that I have to spend to have that separated. I don't have the luxury to do that, for example. But for example, if I am a unicorn or working in a company in much bigger scale, I might want to have specific person handling specific type of problems. So those kind of job segregation and types of product managers can differ based on that. And the other example that I have here is growth product managers. This is an interesting thing that in some companies, growth product managers that looks at metrics like how many users you get, how many active users, how much money you spend to get those users, and for example, how much money did the users spend in your platform, how long they're staying, what kind of features that they're using, and how you keep them in your platform. Usually it's like being done by a specific person. Some people call them like product marketing managers. Some of them calling them growth product managers. Some just call them product managers. So this thing can vary. So if you're probably exploring the role of product managers, you can look into the job description, although it's product managers, the kind of day-to-day that you have between 1 p.m. to another can be very different. So it's very helpful for you to be contextual when, for example, you're exploring a role, asking them, what do you need, what stage you are, what kind of help do you need from me, things like that can be very helpful when you're exploring. Karena, for example, if we're talking about someone working in FMCG companies and tech companies, they have product managers, but the kind of work that they're doing is probably not completely different. There are some sense of similarity in the way they're doing their things, but the type of day-to-day that they have is completely different. So those kind of things is very contextual to what industry you're working in, then also this the type of company and the maturity of the company itself. This is kind of like touching upon, okay, so right now I kind of have an idea of product manager itu apa sih, terus kayak, oh gambarannya kayak gitu, kerjanya seperti itu. Terus kalau kita misalnya mau jadi product manager yang baik, apa aja sih yang mesti kita punya atau kita lakuin gitu. Jadi hal ini sebenarnya bukan apa ya, bukan it's not like a guidance that you need to like do, but you need to understand and contextually translate to your needs and your day to day in order to excel in the product management role. At least like this is the general sense of what kind of like everyday product managers at least have to do. So if you're a product manager, usually they call you like the mini CEO of whatever it is that you're doing. So, for example, you're working in marketplace and you're handling, for example, merchant enablement, and you're working with a feature that enables merchant to see their sales and how much they should restock and things like that. You will do all of the process from researching, building the requirement, looking at the development, understanding how it rolls out, it performs, iterate it, and everything. So whenever there's an issue arises from that, you will be the first person that people in your company would reach out to understand, like, hey, how can we fix this? So you are kind of like the mini CEO of whatever you're doing. Because you know like everything in this kind of like product management type of role, we usually call it the T-shaped form, where in the T shape you can see that. So there is the kind of like general sense of what product managers should understand, and the one thing that you understand kind of like in depth is your specific line of work. So this type of thing, for example, if you're looking at product management, you can see like a lot of the thing being done specifically by other people if the company is big enough. For example, like UI and UX design, user research, product marketing, and if business life cycle and other things usually is being done by other people. But a product manager usually have a general sense of everything that's happening, and you kind of like you don't have to understand like everything and how to do it, but having some kind of some level of understanding and kind of like you understand how to do it, not like you know when you have to do it. It's kind of very helpful when you have to solve a problem that involves the stakeholders, because these are the people or these are the skills that other people has that you have to manage, and understanding of that can help you to solve a lot of problems. So this is like it doesn't make a lot of sense when I'm explaining it, but when you're working the job, it's kind of you have your like own baby and you nurture it. So why also like people call you the CEO is because like the attachment and the understanding that you have from that product is really deep. So these are the things that like um, you know you would kind of feel when you're being a product manager, and this kind of understanding of everything, but then you have some depth of knowledge in some areas that kind of made you you know all rounder generalist that understand everything about the product. um, these are the important traits that I think would be useful for everyone to have and really master as product manager. The first is extreme ownership. It's like when I said it's like your baby, it's kind of like you are the one that's going to take care of it and taking charge when everything happens. Jadi kayak kalau misalkan gimana ya? It's not about gimana sih orang biasanya bilangnya ini tuh eh, orang-orang hustle culture banget atau sangat-sangat attached sama kerjaannya gitu sampai nggak ada waktu. It's not that. It's more into you really invest your time to make whatever you're doing very successful in the way that you define it as your goal. So um, extreme ownership kind of translates into day to day that you have this kind of feeling that keeps you up every morning. You want to make this better than yesterday. So that's that kind of thing you need to have if you want to succeed. Because if you don't have ownership uh, to whatever it is that you're doing, it's really hard for you to excel and also help other people. So this is like the main thing that you need to have when you're starting to be a product manager. The next is critical thinking and analysis. Kenapa ini penting banget? Kita tadi ngobrolin tentang business objective. And the way for you to understand whether you're successful in doing your job or not is by understanding that you have set metrics and then you comply to whatever it is that you set. You understand why you set that number, and also then analyze whether you're achieving your target or like you're setting your target low, too low, it's too easy for you, and doing some kind of analysis to understand whether compared to whatever happened in the market, are you doing a good job or not? So this is very important for you to understand critical thinking and analysis going into the job. Customer obsession. So this doesn't mean that you need to obsess to like certain type of customers, but you need to be, you obsess about your customers' happiness and see problems not from your point of view. So, because sometimes when you're designing solutions, you're not designing the solutions for you. For example, if you're working, you're already graduated from school and you're working for education technology that mainly focuses on K-12 solutions of education, you're probably not their user, but having an obsession on like how your user sees the problem and also like kind of understanding why they're doing this from their point of view is going to be very helpful. Also like for example, if you're working because sometimes it's really hard, right? There are some type of areas where it needs the solution, but you're not the user that can kind of like represent. So you need to sometimes shift your understanding of the problem from the point of view of the users. So for example, elderly care. A lot of people in the elderly categories, they might need supports and everything, but people from that age group might not be fit enough for them to work as a product manager. So what a product manager needs to do is to be customer obsessed in a way that they're invested in the problem. They see the problem from the point of view of the users. They can do research, then they can do a lot of things to help them get this point of view. The next is quality above all. So the way I'm usually using these examples when I'm working is that if there's a product that's not really good, when you give that away for people for free, people might not even use it. Although you give them for free, people love free things, right? But there are certain things about quality that's really important that kind of ensures people want to use it, even when they have to pay for it or put some effort for them to use it. So this is very important that like probably, especially when we're talking about startups, usually there's this kind of discussion that they burn money to grow. But then again, aside from that, you need to ensure that the quality is good. Because when you're burning money but your product is not good, people would not want to use it. So hal-hal kayak gini perlu kita pikirkan banget tentang quality of the delivery, whether the user is happy or not, how are we looking at quality compared to competitors or other solutions that's in the market. So hal-hal ini paling enggak tuh hal yang mendasar banget as a product manager we need to understand. Okay. The next is scientific driven. Why this is very important, although not everything that is related to solutions is related to science. It can be a social problems or other things. But scientific in here meaning that we can use logical reasoning in solving our problems, in looking at solutions, in even understanding the problem itself. So things like probably like not looking at, is there any scientific journal talking about this every day? It's not that thing that is very important, but understanding that like you can use logical reasoning in understanding things, questioning things is very important, because reasoning is one thing that will lead you to have a good solution that fits your users. The next thing is about communications. This is something that you cannot neglect as a product manager because most of the time you're going to be talking to a lot of people. I'm not saying that communication must be something that people usually associate with uh, extrovert traits, as in like you're doing a meeting, you're talking to people, but communication can be also done via written documents. Have a good way of explaining things. You can build visuals to kind of telling stories to people. So this is one thing that is also important because can you imagine you're a number guy or girl, and then you understand this problem. Oh, I can see this problem in here and there. You understand what needs to be done, but a product manager cannot do the job by themselves, right? They need engineers, they need designers, they need people in marketing to help them kind of spread the messages. But if you cannot communicate very well, it's really hard for you to get your job done just because probably you cannot get buy-in. People understand your idea wrongly. So having a good communication skills, and not only about like speaking in public, it's more into like how then you can use multiple form of communications and tools to get people to understand what you want to get across is very important. Um, the next is leadership and teamwork. I think in later explanation I will touch upon this a little bit also, but product managers needs to be a good team player that can also lead sometimes without authority because when you're working with people from different functions, you are the kind of like the key anchor to everything. Jadi kayak mesti ngobrol sama orang bisnis, designers, dan yang lain kadang they have their own leads. Tapi in that specific solutions that you want to do, you are going to be the captain. So it is very important to learn how to lead and also like observe on like how can then you be a good teammate. Karena juga kayak leading and being a teammate sometimes as a product manager needs to coexist because yeah, treating other, although when you're leading, treating them like a teammate can be very helpful when you're trying to get something really done in a way that a lot of people have good ownership of the problem. Um, the last, I think this is the last thing in this, but it's not the last thing that we need to have as a trait of product manager. Tapi empathy and humility is something that I want to bring here uh, because we were talking about customer obsession. We were talking about leadership and teamwork, communication, and other things. And we are also talking about also things related to business. Empathy and humility is important in a way that we can then understand where they're coming from because a lot of the work that you're doing is communicating. You're going to say a lot of no's and you will get a lot of no's. So your work is not going to be every day people say yes to you. Having an empathy and understanding where they came from can help you a lot. So it will help you remove the blockers of whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And also by having empathy and humility, it's kind of like a ground you. For example, if you're trying to solve a user solution, I'm not stereotyping, but for example, I'm uh, I've lived in cities throughout my life, and I've lived in at a pretty privileged way. But if I want to solve problem for people living in second tier cities or third tier cities, it's kind of hard for me to understand why they're doing that if I don't have enough empathy and humility to like go down to the field, looking at what is happening and understanding why they're doing things that way from users' perspective, and also people working with you. So this thing will help you not to like achieve the metrics in in a way that like I can raise the user like 2 times from last week, but more into like as a team, how can you collectively grow? And that's also important because most of the time when you're in a company or starting your own journey, growing collectively with your teammates needs this. So this goes first before you do everything else in your line of work. So I think the next part of this is why communication is important for PMs. This will goes to one of the kind of jargons that PMs use a lot, stakeholder management. Why I specifically touch upon communication here? Because stakeholder management, apart from the technical aspects and things related to metrics and numbers, a lot of it is about communicating your needs and understanding other people. So, although this is like saying that why communication is important because it is, but uh, it is something that I think when I started as a product manager, I didn't understand this enough. I thought that like my data analytics skills and my understanding of solutions is enough for me to excel in my job. But most of the times, you know, you're asking people to do hard things that they're already having things on their plate. So it's really hard for you to, just ask people, can you do A? I know that you're working on B. This is something that you will face like every sprints, every week in some cases. And this kind of skill is very important for you to have and to also hone in from time to time because I believe that there's always room for improvement when we're talking about communication. Uh, this is going to help you solve like half of your day-to-day problems. If you have good communication skill, you use the right tools, you use the right kind of like language that other people is using, and coming from a good sense of like why people are doing this. This is going to help you at least like go through half of your day. And this is just like a simplification of what we were talking earlier. That like you will working with people from tech, you will see how business kind of see this and how this can be sustainable. You will also see from the user's point of view, is this something that they can accept as a solution, or is this something that they cannot? For example, you have like 2 hours delivery for whatever you need, but you're actually living in a small island, so probably the answer is not very contextual for them. Looking at the context of what technology can do, what businesses needs, wants, and able to achieve, and also looking at the customers on how they live and what type of problem they have and what kind of solution they want is very important because we're sitting right in the middle of that. And having communication skills that's like really good will help you navigate all of this. Um, One thing that I mentioned earlier is about leading without authority. Sometimes when you're a product manager, you have to make decisions and also like take charge, although you're not actually the one that has that, because sometimes the problem that you face is something that's really new. People in your company doesn't understand who should have done this, who can do this, who has the skill. But as a PM, if you understand that, okay, I see a problem. For example, you're working from agriculture technology company. You see a problem. Okay, sometimes people don't always have their crops, uh, they cannot do harvest in time. They don't have everything that they wanted to achieve. For example, there's this occasion when it only yields half of what they already predicted. Then what should you do? Probably people in your company, not everyone knows who should be talking about this, taking charge on this, having solutions being placed on, and things like that. And as a PM, usually when you own that kind of funnel and problems, you need to be the one like doing that without any clear authority. And that kind of like a problem needs solution, and you need to step in. And this is like the thing that I mentioned over and over again about influencing other people, getting buy-in. And a lot of the people coming to you is probably going to tell you that they need the solutions like yesterday. And this is really hard, right? You need to tell no to people and reassuring them that like without these solutions being placed on today, you will still have enough space to go about your day, do what you want to do, achieve what you want to achieve. You will have timelines and everything. Sometimes you have to do a lot of hand holding and align with them. They're like, I know you're coming to me today, but I need to understand why you need me to get this done by today. So there's a lot of alignment that you need to do from those meetings, and you need to influence them to, you know, you have a lot of understanding about resources that is available in the company. You understand what kind of business objective that they want to achieve. You understand the current metrics. So working with people and aligning with them on what needs to be done and more than what they want to do is something that you have to do day in day out. And influencing people, it takes time for us to learn, but you can use data, you can use storytelling. So as I mentioned earlier, you can have data, you can have all of the reasoning, but when we cannot tell a story and we cannot use um, our skill to look at logics and crafting a story uh, to enable a solution, it's really hard to do communication with other people because influencing people takes more than just Excel spreadsheet and PowerPoints. So this type of work, I believe that you will do, and as a product manager, it will take time because people are different from one and another because their work is different, their background is different, and also the type of thing that uh, you know is being put on their plate, as in like this is your responsibility, this is your responsibility is very different. So the way people look at problems is different. So this is something that as a product manager, from day one, you will face this problem, even with another product manager working with you, because they have different needs. And you have to walk through this and hone in your skill to solve this problem. So these are like some tips that we can do because, so for example, this is just an illustration of how usually people in, I think this is about fact, but just in general, when you're working with a lot of different stakeholders, you have to relay messages. This is typically what is going to happen. Sorry. So usually when you get a brief, this is not necessarily a client. This can be the CEO or this is a company objective. They kind of like have some picture of what the problem is. But when you relay the messages, for example, then it comes to the VP, and then it comes to other people, and then it comes to the product manager who's going to build the solutions, and then they kind of translate it to the developer, what the developer actually codes, and what is the final product. Usually, is something that it's not. I'm not saying it's a different thing with what they ask, but there's going to be information that is lost throughout those processes, and it will result to something that's probably not the thing that we thought we are going to build. So this is a normal process that happens, but there are a lot of strategies for us to, at least if they need you to like draw, for example, a chicken, you don't end up drawing an elephant. So those kind of thing happens, but we have a lot of things that we can do to prevent this from happening. So this is like a very boring slide of when I go through like a list of solutions and kind of like the thing that, oh, I already heard about this, but a lot of other things that we need to understand as a PM, that sometimes we have to trust the process, and incorporating some frameworks into our work is going to be very helpful for us. For example, including team communication in strategy and goal setting is very important. For example, if you're talking about I want to get this metrics 2 times by the end of the year, it's going to be helpful if you have people from design, people from marketing, people from engineering team, and probably people from the sales team on the ground to be in the same room to understand that like why we kind of want this to happen. So talking about team communication, having an effective platform for you to do that, and an open way of feedback and a structured communication style that you can put in place is going to be very helpful. For example, when you're saying about this and then the tech people saying this, the salespeople from the field can tell you a story that I think something is going to work better because, for example, you're working for a company that kind of help people get fresh produce, and you kind of source it from the market. Uh, Misalnya kita di kantor mungkin biasanya kalau di tech companies, they always say kita bisa grow 10x, tapi orang-orang yang jualan di pasaran, misalnya yang nge-supply sayur, buah-buahan, they most likely don't have the capacity to grow 10x. So those kind of understanding sometimes really helpful when you have people from different functions hearing what you want to achieve and then sitting down and figuring out a strategy of how you want to do things. The next thing is having rules and tools. Sometimes it's really different when you're working in teams versus you're working alone. And as a teams, biasanya kalau misalkan kayak aku biasanya ngobrolnya via meeting gitu. Aku biasanya lewat dokumen. Aku biasanya lewat X. Ada yang biasanya komunikasi misalnya via chat platform yang biasa dipakai untuk sehari-hari. Tapi ada yang maunya ngobrolnya di email gitu. Jadi kadang-kadang kalau kita nggak set understanding that we need a certain style on the way we're doing things, what are the tools that we're going to use, orang ngerasanya kan udah aku chat, yang satunya ngerasa nggak terima email, and satunya lagi ngerasa loh nggak ada yang nelpon aku gitu. So things like that often happens when you're working in a large team, incorporating different type of functions. So having this being said is very important. Kadang orang tech ada yang suka pakai channel tertentu yang ternyata buat orang-orang marketing, oh enggak gini gitu kan. Jadi punya standar yang bisa di orang semua tahu dan sepakat apa yang mau dilakukan itu penting banget. Kayak dan nggak perlu juga kita harus ngegunain sesuatu yang paling baru. Ini ada misalnya ada communication platform paling baru nih. Yang ini orangnya bisa gerak-gerak kalau di dalam sini gitu. Kita bisa bikin karakter. Tapi kalau ternyata yang lain misalnya belum pernah tahu dan itu malah menyulitkan karena saya nggak punya nih laptop, saya punyanya cuman ponsel. Jadinya komunikasinya nggak terjadi. I'm not saying that it's a bad practice, tapi understanding what your team has and resources that can be accessed by everyone is more important than just using what is the newest thing out there. Sometimes the solution is good, but not everyone in your team can afford to have that. Keep it simple and avoid kind of like having too many things being set up. Jadi kayak kita punya terlalu banyak rules. Jadi there's this thing that we want to balance, having rules sama getting productivity done. Sometimes kalau kita punya terlalu banyak restriksi dan hal yang harus dipunyain gitu, orang jadi heboh ngurusin hal-hal yang sifatnya mungkin administratif, terus stakeholders yang lain mungkin ngerasa oh ini nggak produktif ya udah gitu ya. Akhirnya kita nggak getting things done karena kita terpaku, kita harus ngeset semua rule di depan. So having some flexibility in it is also going to be helpful. Yang terakhir ini kayak hal yang mungkin not a lot of people can have this as a product manager karena biasanya hal-hal ini ada di higher ups or in organization level. So if you can influence them to have this will be a good thing. Or like if you are the one making the decision, I think this is something that worth thinking for you. Yang pertama, hire experts and self-starters. Di sini kayak if orang biasanya bilang gini sih, kalau bisa dapat masuk inputnya bagus, hopefully it can influence what is happening inside of your organization or company to also be good, right? Jadi if you can hire the best, that would be something that's beneficial. Terus ngomongin encourage informal communications. I know that people sometimes take work as work, tapi with informal communication, sometimes people can tell you more things, and you can understand better if you have kind of like this informal discussions yang biasanya nge-uncover hal lebih ke arah personally what they feel about this. Do they have opinions that they don't say in the forum because they might think that this can be hurtful for someone and things like that. So this is the thing that we can do. And also about team members and understanding that technology is not going to be the thing that kind of solves all the problem is something that's really important too. Sometimes the way you need to see it as if you're a human, what kind of thing that you need instead of like talking about what kind of shiny new things that you can do, you can use to solve this problem. Sometimes the solution is pretty standard, having calls once in a week and things like that. Okay, so I guess the next thing is about case studies. This is more of like a interactive session where I'm trying to bring one of the examples of what good product that is working out there and has been proven to be working. Dan nanti kita bisa bahas gitu. So if you have any questions, you can ask me too. Yang pertama ini Amazon. Mungkin kalau di Indonesia Amazon nggak ada, tapi di Indonesia punya banyak e-commerce yang gede ya. Kayak Tokopedia, terus kita juga punya kayak Bukalapak dan yang lainnya. Jadi Amazon ini mirip banget sama solusi mereka, tapi mungkin ada banyak hal yang berbeda karena marketnya beda gitu ya. Jadi di Amazon ini ada satu fitur namanya one click checkout. Mungkin kalau di Indonesia sekarang juga udah jadi standar ya. Jadi ini kita tarik balik ketika awal-awal ada e-commerce itu booming di Amerika gitu ya, di dunia. Kan di Indonesia e-commerce itu mungkin baru rame tahun 2014-2015 gitu ya. Sebelumnya kan kayak bentuknya ada yang forum, ada yang toko online biasa gitu kan. Jadi waktu itu di Amazon itu mereka punya problem statement gini, orang tuh banyak yang ke website kita, orang yang browsing barang di tempat kita juga banyak. Terus abis gitu kan kayak orang tuh ternyata dia tuh sering lihat-lihat, tapi terus habis gitu dia cuman masukin ke keranjang terus dia nggak beli gitu. Cuman dikit banget ternyata orang yang beli gitu. Bukan dikit banget asin nggak ada yang beli ya, tapi from their point of view, kalau misalkan orang-orang ini masukin hal ini ke keranjang atau browsing halaman ini berkali-kali from time to time, then they must have a purchase intent, but why are they not doing it? Is there something that we can do to influence user behavior untuk mempermudah hal ini bisa dilakukan sama user? Jadi waktu itu kalau mungkin teman-teman yang sempat mungkin ngerasain pakai solusi e-commerce di Indonesia awal-awal tahun, mungkin I know that a lot of you probably are still kids or also I'm just old guys. So when it was starting in Indonesia juga bentuknya sebenarnya pretty standard. You have a homepage, orang bisa browsing, ngeliat, terus abis gitu beli, bayar, bahkan mungkin bayarnya dulu masih transfer ke bank gitu kan, terus mesti upload bukti transfernya gitu kan. So before we get what we are today, waktu itu mereka berpikir gitu kan, mungkin gak ya kita nih selain masukin barang ke dalam cart, kita bikin satu fitur untuk langsung nge-check out, langsung bayar dan langsung selesai. Kan proses untuk mulai masukin, nambahin, masukin yang lain itu lama banget kan. Jadi Amazon waktu itu ngelakuin user research, mereka ngelakuin banyak percobaan sampai akhirnya mereka mikirin, oke, kita bisa taruh buttonnya di sini. So with this one click checkout, kalau dipikir tuh solusinya tuh nggak yang mereka bikin satu ini ya halaman baru, mereka bikin satu website baru dengan yang ini. They simply created a button that when you clicked it, you automatically check that out and you pay for it. Jadi nggak perlu lagi ada yang ngisi kayak misalnya ini mesti ini dikirimin lewat ini mesti dipindahin, ini saya mau beli tambahan asuransi dan yang lainnya. It's simply when you check out, you pay for it and then it's being delivered to you. Jadi with this, Amazon itu diprediksikan kala itu mereka dapat increase 5% dari fitur ini aja. And if you're talking about 5% is really small, right? Tapi at Amazon's scale, it's 2.4 billion dollars. Jadi they have this huge raise in their revenue just because a simple button. They didn't add categories, they didn't add new pages, they simply find a button. And the way they're doing this is by doing a lot of research, talking to a lot of different people, internally understanding what happened. So this is not just like one people type of work. And the product managers needs to collaborate with everyone in order to understand the problem and come up with a solution that is simple enough for them to implement, but has huge impact. Dan kalau dilihat lagi di sini kayak sometimes it doesn't need to be like, for example, you're using the newest technology to solve that problem. You just simply think about what the user needs, what can we do right now, and how are we going to implement it really fast and learn from it. So that is something that they have done, and it has been very beneficial to them to the point that like 2.4 billion US dollars is not something that's small. Like and it's actually real money. Maksudnya kayak if you think about it, it's really hard to get that amount of money, right? And people paying for services, and for you to have one button that's probably like for you very easy to design, and then you can implement it really quick and have a huge impact. It's something that is if a product manager or a business can do this every day, this would solve a lot of problems. But chances are like a problem sometimes it's not that simple. Nggak semua orang punya resourcesnya. So this is a success story that we can reflect on. That like sometimes the solution is not something that we think it needs to be huge, fancy, and shiny. It can be something that's simple but actionable and already being really well thought of. The second thing that I want to discuss is probably talking about how dating apps in general, and in this specific case, it is Tinder, has been changing the way people meet other people. Mungkin kalau sekarang orang lihatnya Tinder ini nggak cuman dating apps ya, tapi a way for people to meet new people and get their connections and things like that, right? Tapi bayangin dulu tuh sebelum teknologi smartphone itu ada and it's widely used, orang tuh masih mungkin ngalamin ada kolom-kolom yang isinya buat perjodohan, online forums where people kind of tell who they are and then go to forums and see if there's a profile that matches them. Atau bahkan waktu itu dating apps itu bentuknya kan kolom-kolom yang isinya foto-foto orang dengan umur, usia, and where they live gitu kan. Cuman the way Tinder understand that like ya kan dari sekian itu palingan cuma berapa gitu kan yang ketemu dan they need to reinvent the way people kind of understand how can then they curate and also display the options in a way that is fun and people can enjoy it. Karena kayak meeting new people is hard, right? Finding new people is also hard and they try to understand gimana sih cara mereka bisa ngerubah apa yang udah bertahun-tahun jadi standar normal dan diubahnya tuh bukan jadi sesuatu yang sangat sophisticated, misalnya you already get this people, this already match with you, like you have to pick this gitu kan. Tinder simply gamify the process of finding new people by using pictures. Is it the best thing? Probably not, but it's definitely changing the way people kind of meet new people. Dan perubahan ini tuh sekarang jadi standar. If you look at dating apps, networking apps, this swipe thing is something that is being implemented everywhere right now. When people have options, they want to see what are the options, which one that they like. this swipe kind of already being a new standard. Dan kayak if you look at almost every other apps out there, it is something that become a new standard. Jadi in product management, this is kind of like the thing that people already see. Oh, ini bagus banget ya, ini cerdas banget solusinya. Tapi nggak mungkin product managernya mikir sendiri gitu. They have user researchers and probably sometimes like real scientists to do like their scientific thing to understand this. They have engineers, they have designers that make this happen. They have people in marketing that can help them craft a story and then make a campaign that is believable enough and people can relate to. So this is the type of thing that product managers do day in day out to ensure that like the problems that people are facing uh, is being dealt with and given solutions that's appropriate for whatever era they're in. And probably mungkin in 5 to 10 years there's going to be new things and new way of doing things yang sekarang mungkin kita belum kepikiran gitu ya. Karena mungkin teknologinya baru atau society-nya berubah gitu kan. Jadi hal-hal yang sekarang kita anggap relevan bisa jadi nanti kita mesti ganti lagi. Makanya kayak ngeliatin as a PM when I started our sharing session today, I was talking about opportunities dan itu yang harus constantly dilihat. Is this something that's relevant? Looking at trends, understanding how people are doing things. Karena kayaknya kita ngelihat at some point when I look at social media, I think that oh Instagram is the it thing. It's going to be here for a very long time. It is, tapi I didn't think that what happens with TikTok would be something that's really huge. They changed everything that we know about social media. They kind of, deliver it in a way that we didn't expect it to happen. And it looks weird at first, but people use it. And so is a lot of social media. When I was like a teenager, MySpace, Friendster was a thing. I thought it was like very cool. It's the coolest new thing. But then new technologies coming in, people start to think about how then we can solve this problem. So those type of cycle in product management it happens. And also if we're looking even like if we're looking at Facebook, when I was first using Facebook at 2008, 2009, it was very different with Facebook that we know today, right? Jadi product manajernya terus menerus ngelakuin hal di mana dia ngelakuin improvement, talking with other stakeholders, understanding that oh we cannot use this because the metrics doesn't show us success anymore. We need to change thing. Hal-hal kayak gitu akan terus menerus kejadian gitu sih. Dan Tinder tuh akhirnya dibeli sama apa namanya Match.com. Dan itu jadi kayak more than half of their portfolio that's bringing the money. Terus kayak if you think about it, it's really crazy that people want to pay money to open an app and just like swipe and meet people. If you're talking about this to people in early 2000, they would, are you crazy? I mean, like this type of thing that is constantly being improved and looked at. That as a product manager, this is something that you need to keep up in your line of work to understand. Like, is the way I'm doing things currently, makes sense? Can I change things? Should I change things? So yeah, this is just like two examples that I brought to kind of like give you an example of what are the examples of product management results out there that people usually only see this as a small thing and they didn't think that it actually takes a village to do it. So things like this can be you can see it as a really simple thing, but actually it takes a village to make things happen. And as a product manager, you're going to be sitting at the center of it. Okay, so I guess the next thing is about Q&A. So if there's any questions from everyone, I'll be happy to answer. Okay, I'm going to check the question that's coming in. Uh, Maya from Zoom ask a question. Biasanya yang kerja sebagai product manager itu background pendidikannya apa dan harus dari jurusan tertentu atau tidak? This question really kind of like hits closer to home for me. Walaupun biasanya kalau di Indonesia product manager itu ini ya, they're coming from a background. Orang kayaknya ngelihatnya backgroundnya harus mirip sama industri yang dia kerja. Misalnya kalau tech ya mungkin dulu anak informatika gitu. As a fact, I'm a pharmacist working in product management. At some point, I was working in online travel agent solutions. Jadi kayak product management, as we already discussed today, is a pretty generalist role di mana ini sebenarnya semua orang tuh bisa mengerjakan dan it is something that you can learn. Basicnya kayak tadi kita sempat bilang ya communications, analytical skills, critical thinking, terus abis gitu kita bisa apa namanya ngeliatin juga kayak business understanding gitu ya, leadership and teamwork. Jadi sebenarnya semua orang dari jurusan apapun itu bisa asalkan mereka punya ini kan lebih ke pekerjaan general yang you can pick it up on the job, you can self-taught yourself. For example, in my case, saya tuh dulu awalnya, I'm a pharmacist. I work as a pharmacist in hospitals, in apotek, di klinik gitu ya. Sampai akhirnya belajar tentang how to manage a business, gimana sih ngomongin ini, terus belajar project management. For me, my career was going through that direction until finally, at first when I was doing a product management job, my company doesn't have that role. Jadi kayak specialist something, jadi cuman pekerjaannya adalah pekerjaan yang sekarang orang bilangnya itu product manager gitu kan. So I guess a lot of the things yang ada di product management itu, yes it is tied to certain skill sets yang mungkin, for example if you're talking about business and management, otomatis anak-anak yang kuliah di business and management, they have stronger skills in that. If we're talking about technical understanding, mungkin teman-teman dari informatika, computer science, they have better understanding. When you're talking about communications, other people might have different sets of skill, tapi in general, there's no limitation about what is the background that will help you to be a good product manager. It's more of a skill set and traits that will help you to succeed as a product manager. Berikutnya dari Zoom juga ada Hana. Skill apa yang perlu kita punya sebagai product manager? Oke, tadi kita sempat ngebahas beberapa traits yang apa namanya kita bisa lihat ya di sini. So there is this 8 thing I think that like we need to at least masters for us to be a good product manager. So having an extreme ownership of whatever we're doing, critical thinking, customer obsession, ngomongin tentang quality, terus kita ngomongin tentang having a scientific driven way of thinking, a good communication skill, leadership and teamwork, sama empathy and humility is kind of the basic thing that you should have as a product manager. Tubagus Pradana from Facebook ask, untuk merintis karir sebagai product manager harus dimulai dari posisi apa? Mungkinkah employee biasa jadi product manager? Oke, so I guess right now ada banyak banget ya, karena product manager itu kebutuhannya di job market. I think it's never like we're not hiring for product managers. There's always opening for product managers everywhere. I think in the industry sekarang yang udah mulai butuh product manager dan they realize that they need to have this role itu udah expanding, mulai dari kayak I know that the agriculture they need product managers, ngomongin tentang solusi yang bahkan sekarang peternakan. I know one of my good friends is working for a solution that focuses di peternakan ayam and poultry gitu kan. Dan ada juga sampai yang kayak ngomongin AI and high technology yang kayak gitu. And I would say, can you start as an employee? I guess you can. You just need to hone your skills. And another thing mungkin yang sekarang lagi banyak banget nih di luar sana, taking certifications, certification bisa online, certificationnya bisa ada juga kan yang kelas modelnya kelas-kelas gitu. Dan abis gitu juga biasanya mereka kan kasih tugas ya, tugasnya bisa dikerjain. So you have a portfolio that you can build. Although it's probably not your work, you can show them that like, hey, I've done this exercise. This is the way I'm seeing the problem. This is the way I'm thinking about it, and this is the solution that I think will be beneficial for the business. It can really help you to show that like you understand about it. Dan biasanya tuh kalaupun mungkin nggak di perusahaan yang sama, you can explore the type of industries or ini ya expertise that you have. Terus you can start from there. Karena banyak juga product manager itu biasanya yang dicari itu nggak apa ya, nggak yang oh backgroundnya harus ini gitu. Biasanya they look for generalist and the test usually is pretty open dan kayak there's a case study, it's pretty fair in a lot of places that I know sekarang kayak standarnya so, if you can apply, you can do the assignment, you can do the interview well. I guess that there's no apa ya major thing that you're gonna find it very difficult if you kind of like have the intention to go there. The resources is really like plenty sekarang kayak ada di mana-mana gitu kalau mau belajar tentang product management, bahkan di sosial media tuh banyak banget yang specifically talking about cases. Bahkan ada product manager misalnya di Twitter yang they're working for Google, for Twitter, for Facebook. They openly talk about cases about their work, writing in Medium. Jadi kayak banyak banget kalau kita emang mau belajar dan biasanya sih it takes preparation sama good timing ya untuk doing the career shift. Karena for me personally, I restarted my career untuk menjadi product manager gitu. Karena kayak I was a pharmacist terus kayak sekarang kerja jadi PM gitu kan. It's something that's completely different and I've never thought of it when I started my career gitu kan. So I guess there's always possibility if you want to do that. Next question dari Bayu from YouTube. Halo Kak, ini sangat insightful sekali. Banyak kelas-kelas ini berbayar, tapi di Amerika gratis. Ya, this is like very nice guys. What America has been providing for you. Saya mau bertanya, jika saya memiliki produk jadi seperti usaha makanan, apakah saya juga penting untuk belajar product management agar saya bisa memasarkan produk saya lebih luas? Of course, kayak tadi yang saya bilang, mungkin sekarang tuh yang lagi ngetren banget product managers itu ada di industri teknologi gitu ya. Solusinya mungkin software, website, aplikasi gitu kan. Tapi secara umum prinsip-prinsip dalam product management di mana misalnya kita nentuin goal, bikin prioritas, communication skill, terus gimana kita ngebuat rencana, eksekusi itu bisa banget kita terapin di industri lain. Toh contohnya misalnya di industri yang jualan, yang jualan consumer goods gitu. Misalnya FMCG ada yang jualan sampo gitu kan. They have product managers yang mikirin tentang gimana sih appropriately doing things untuk mencapai goalnya gitu. Jadi enggak terbatas di industri tertentu. Every industry can have a product manager. Or if you don't have product managers in your line of work, skills related to product management is very beneficial for us to learn. Karena ini ya, kayak karena ini cukup general dan nggak spesifik ke industri tertentu, kita bisa switching konteksnya untuk ambil skillnya untuk solving problems gitu sih. Karena kan masalah ada di mana-mana ya. Ada lagi dari Salsabila dari YouTube. Gimana sih maintain quality of good communication as a product manager while catering our client needs? Jadi kalau ngomongin tentang good communication as product manager, kadang gini sih, kalau komunikasi itu yang penting tuh kita harus bawa empati. Why it is very important? Karena ketika misalnya kita ngomongin klien gitu ya, atau kita ngomongin user tuh punya demand and clients have demands, itu kan biasanya karena mereka punya kebutuhan yang didasarin dari permasalahan mereka. Dan kalau kita nggak ngerti itu dengan baik, biasanya agak susah. Usually when we're communicating with someone, it's better kalau kita bisa lansing the problem and see the problem from their point of view. Why it is so important for them for the solutions to be done in a certain way at a certain time gitu ya. Kayaknya itu penting banget sih yang pertama, empati. Yang kedua itu to always have a good faith. Kalau biasanya apalagi if you're dealing with a client atau users gitu ya, highly unlikely mereka, because if it's your client they're paying money for you, right? Biasanya mereka nggak ada niatan jahat untuk for you not to succeed gitu, because they want to get something out of the money that they already spent, right? Jadi get on the best side dan kayak ngeliatin kayak kenapa sih mereka mau ngerjain ini, what is their intention. Jadi kayak understanding that dan always seeing when they're requesting something and seeing something itu dari place di mana mereka sebenarnya pengen ngelakuin hal yang baik buat diri mereka gitu. Terus kalau tipsnya communication itu biasanya dibuild dari trust sama habit ya. Jadi have a good follow up, terus abis gitu have a structured way of understanding things and explaining things. Use visual cues atau kayak visual aids untuk ngebantu misalnya pas lagi presentasi, share the notes with them, be very transparent. Usually itu sangat ngebantu karena kan kadang-kadang kalau kita misalnya lagi meeting atau lagi trying to solve a problem, kalau kita cuma ngomong aja kan susah ya. But if they as your audience itu punya poin yang mereka bisa refer, mereka bisa lihat, you can illustrate it to them. Biasanya itu akan mudah diingat dan memperlancar kalau misalkan mereka lihat terus, oh ini nggak gini nih gitu. Jadi some of the misunderstanding can be prevented by doing that. Dari Anastasia ada lagi. Can you please show us the example of good communication to customer as a product manager or? Oh yeah. So I guess a good communication usually first, misalnya gini kita mau ketemu sama orang. It's very good when we already discuss with them what are the agenda. Kayak jadi orang tahu coming into the meeting itu kita akan ngebahas A, B, C dan kita lagi mau mencoba nyelesain masalah X gitu ya. Jadi coming in mereka udah tahu. Give early briefs to them juga kayak what are the things yang misalnya you already research, so baseline of whatever that will happen in that itu udah ada gitu. Dan pas meeting keep track of everything, terus habis gitu catat dan misalnya habis gitu langsung di-share and also ask for their feedbacks. Is it already correct? Is it not? And be open if they give you pushback. Biasanya kan kalau kita misalnya punya pendapat atau ide belum tentu benar gitu ya. Jadi kalau ada orang yang nanyain balik, giving suggestion, it is something that we might want to think about. Oke. Dan kalau misalkan nanti ngasih sesuatu gitu, pastiin everything is well documented. Terus habis gitu you can ask them for their confirmation gitu. Misalnya kamu habis ngejelasin sesuatu, terus habis gitu kamu bisa ngeliat kalau menurut misalnya kliennya gitu ya, bapak, ibu atau mbak, mas itu yang ini tadi gimana ya. Jadi ketika kita ngedengerin dari mereka, kita bisa tahu apa yang mereka tangkap dari apa yang kita udah sampein gitu. Jadi kalau misalkan, oh mereka nangkapnya begini nih, kita bisa klarifikasi. So those are the things yang kita bisa lakuin. Menurut fasilitas dari Sabrina, dari Zoom, contoh yang dibuat oleh Amazon, apakah itu skill yang harus dimiliki as a PM? Ide-ide seperti itu yang mungkin tidak dipikirkan oleh orang lain. Oke. So I guess there's this saying that basically kind of like tells us that idea is very cheap, it's a dime a dozen gitu kan. Tapi biasanya yang paling penting as a product manager itu adalah kita biasanya bilangnya executing power. Jadi gini, if you have a problem, the most important thing is not the idea that you have. Karena ide itu semua orang bisa punya. Bahkan mungkin orang ada yang mikir gini kayak, oh ya sih misalnya solusi kayak misalnya kayak ini ride hailing ojek ini aku juga pernah nih mikirin sama ini harusnya aku bisa juga nih bikin gitu. Tapi yang membedakan antara what is being made out there sama an idea itu kan executing power. Can we as a product manager understand, oke kalau misalkan aku mau nyelesain masalah orang yang butuh ojek at that time, itu apa yang bisa dilakuin? What are the resources needed? Siapa aja yang perlu ngebantuin aku? Do I need designers? Do I need engineers? Atau bisa nggak sih ini dilakukan misalnya dari bikin Google Form gitu? Can I just use messaging platform untuk misalnya orang pesennya gitu? So this kind of intuition and executing power, it takes time, tapi there are frameworks that you can follow at least to understand the problem and break down what are the things that's possible to be done. Probably mungkin nggak hari ini gitu ya, masalahnya mungkin bisa aja kejadiannya 2-3 tahun ke depan gitu kan. Jadi kita bisa understand what are the things that we need to solve a problem. Jadi as a product manager, it's not about thinking the best idea, but how to execute a good idea is something that is very important. Understanding your goals, having an idea, and then have executing power to make that happen. Jadi more than just an idea, what's more important is executing power. Next ada pertanyaan dari Adinda. It said as a PM we have to ask the right question. How can we practice and be aware of the right questions? I guess this is interesting ya. Kayak asking the right questions. Asking the right question tuh kayak something that's really broad. I guess the way I usually translate this itu biasanya lebih not asking the right question, but having the right problem to solve. Jadi kayak permasalahan itu kan banyak ya. Tapi biasanya more than asking the right question, we need to understand what's the right problem to solve at this time. Karena one thing that's I usually talk to my teammates is about context is king. Jadi gini, misalnya nih, I have a problem about payment gitu ya. Problem about payment tuh can be something that's contextually very high in priority untuk diselesaikan sekarang. Bisa jadi hal ini mungkin hal yang ini bisa kita kerjain besok kok. Karena kita punya masalah yang lebih gede gitu. Biasanya tuh paling gampang adalah ngelihat impact dari permasalahan itu. Impactnya bisa macam-macam ya. Kalau misalkan kita di perusahaan yang misalnya ngejar revenue gitu, then you can look at revenue. Kalau misalnya ngelihat user activity, we can look at user activity. Kalau ngomongin tentang engagement, we can look at engagement. Dan abis gitu kita bisa ngelihat based on the impact, how can then we can size the type of problem that we need to prioritize. Terus kalau kita udah tahu nih mana yang kita bisa prioritize duluan karena mungkin impactnya paling gede, then rather than asking questions, kita bisa ngelihat gimana sih capability kita untuk nyelesain masalahnya. Apa kita bisa nyelesain sekarang atau kita nggak punya nih expertise-nya. Jadi kayak I think the more important thing rather than asking question is prioritizing your problems. Gitu. I think that's ada satu pertanyaan lagi dari Zoom. How to manage office politics, I think when you have a big project, because big project has a lot of stakeholders and you don't have authority. I think this is something that product manager always faces day in day out. The way you should manage it is by understanding juga sih. Biasanya kalau you're working in a project, biasanya kita tahu role-nya orang yang ada di project itu, their own authority, and kind of why they're there. Biasanya ada orang yang ada di situ karena memang ada sesuatu yang harus dia capai gitu, atau kita butuh dia untuk melakukan sesuatu gitu kan. Jadi understanding and identifying everyone's role in there, terus habis gitu how can then kita bisa gunain itu untuk istilahnya sizing effort yang harus kita keluarin itu lumayan penting supaya kita nggak salah tempat gitu. Kalau ternyata misalnya nih kita orang ini ada di project ini karena kita akan butuh bantuannya dia. Itu pasti beda kita nge-treatnya dengan kalau orang ini ada di project ini karena dia mau achieve sesuatu. Mungkin projectnya ini projectnya tim growth nih, dia perlu grow sekian gitu. Pasti kita beda dengan nge-treatnya ada temen, oh yang misalnya, oh dia ada di tim engineering atau design gitu yang akan ngebantu execution. Jadi understanding people's role, terus habis gitu reasons why they're there, and how should we build relationship with them is very important supaya kita nggak salah langkah ketika kita misalnya kayak menempatkan posisi kita, terus habis gitu taking authority. Kalau ternyata oh ini executionnya ada di dia gitu ya, atau nggak ada di kita gitu, then we probably have to delegate something to other people atau kayak ask help from other people to get the job done. Ada lagi pertanyaan, seberapa penting pengetahuan tentang Scrum and Agile untuk product manager? Okay, this is interesting karena a lot of if you're working in tech di Indonesia tuh ada banyak banget overlap antara orang yang ngurusin Scrum ceremonies. Mungkin buat yang belum familiar itu yang ngurusin kayak gimana sih cycle development itu dilakuin, gimana misalnya kayak kita melakukan planning, ngeeksekusi, ngeevaluasi, memastikan semuanya jalan gitu kan. Agile and Scrum itu I would say it's a tool. It's very helpful if not important, very important if you want to work as a product manager working in tech. Jadi kayak I think it's a bread and butter, although probably your company is not implementing any of those frameworks di kerjaan, it's still very helpful for you to understand that if you're working in tech. I think like for you to understand that, although you're not working in tech, is still going to be very beneficial karena cycle dan ceremoniesnya bisa diimplementasiin di kerjaan hari-hari gitu. Nextnya dari Nurawati Mina from Zoom. Baby step untuk career shifter setelah belajar tentang PM, kira-kira harus pilih job sebagai apa? Oke. I guess if you can start as an associate or analyst in product management, atau biasanya tuh ya I see a lot of people shifting before they go to product management to being a user experience researcher atau misalnya working in growth and marketing or working as a project manager, business analyst, data analyst. I think things that you can see using one, two, or some skills that product manager needs to master itu akan lebih mudah transisinya if you want to do the transition slowly. For example, wah sekarang I'm a designer but I want to be product manager. Probably it's easier if you branch to other sides of design as UX researcher and then you make your way to product management. Or if you're an engineer, then you can move towards being engineering manager and then do the career shift as you move based on the kind of capability that you have. Tapi I advise to just try, and when you're starting as early career product managers, although it's an analyst, an associate, it will be very useful for us to have a mentality that we're starting over, and kadang-kadang karena orang yang mau career shifting itu kayak dia udah sangat berpengalaman gitu, jadi ekspektasinya nggak ketemu gitu. But a lot of my coworkers at work working as product manager itu they're not starting off as a product manager, but the opportunity came to them. Some of them being a project manager, terus kayak some of them juga mulainya ada juga yang jadi operations lead, jadi working for COO, terus akhirnya dia tahu banyak, akhirnya pindah ke produk. So I guess there's a lot of way for you to do it. Just hone in the skill that you already have, add more into it, terus do the shift at a pace that you're comfortable with. Jadi kayak if you don't want to take a very drastic measure, then move towards product management slower gitu. Tadi kalau dilihat di T-shape-nya, bisa dilihat di situ ada banyak banget job yang closely correlated with product but not directly product management. Jadi mungkin bisa dieksplor dari situ. Okay, I guess that's from me today. I'll give back to the e-guide. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Kak Rossi for today's session. And thank you to everyone who has also joined our series today. I hope that everyone gained a lot of knowledge and insights from today. And I would also like to thank Kak Rossi for your knowledge today. And this has been our first At America Academy series, but we look forward to seeing you all on our next series. And for those of you who are able to attend our event offline, you will be able to receive special prizes from us. All right, everyone. Earlier in this series, I asked you guys a trivia question, and that question was, when was the concept of product management introduced? And the correct answer to that is A, 1931. Shout out goes out to at Abu Kobu from Instagram for answering the question correctly. And thank you so much to everyone else who has also participated. And now, for those of you who are interested in attending more of our events, you can visit our website at www.atmerica.or.id. And we are also on social medias. We've got Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and also YouTube at AT America. By following us online, you can gain our event updates and so much more information about our events and our programs as well. All right, everyone, with that, I think it is time to say goodbye. Again, my name is Genera, and see you soon at the next At America event. Thank you, everyone, and good night.